Number 1. So, remember, our equation comes in this format. Oops. Right? This is our slope, which is the change in y over the change in x, or as you wrote it in class, y2, right? The difference between the two y values and the difference between the two x values. It's the ratio, right? Ratio of the change of the two y values over the change in the value of the x values. And b is our y-intercept. Where does it cross the y-axis? So if you look at the first one over here, the slope, and I'll write it over here, is 1 over 4. Right, so that means that if you take any point on any 2 points on that line that has a slope of 1 over 4, and you subtract the y values, you're going to get 1, and you subtract the y values, you're going to get 4. So the ratio of the change in y values over the change in x values would be 1 over 4. That's the ratio. And I'll create a table in a moment and you'll see it. And then here's where it crosses the y-axis. So remember, to create a line we need 2 points, and here's our first point right here. So we know this line is crossing right here. So I can start with that. Now, remember I said, right, this is the change in y values, so up and down, the change is 1, and going left to right, the change is 4. Our slope is positive, so our line's going to go up from left to right. So from this point, right, so we know this is one of the points on the line, so I'm going to just, here, there's a point. And to our next point, to find the next point, we can just simply use this information. So to go to the next point, the change in y values is 1, so meaning up and down, I'm going to go 1, and then left and right, I'm going to go 4. So I'm going to go up 1, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. So that would be one of the next points. So now, one of the questions that I heard was, how do I know if I go right or left? Well, if I go right, which I just did, then I connect those two lines. Look, I'm going to get something like this. Is it a positive slope? Yes. So I know I am connecting, I placed the next point correctly. Now, let's say you decided, well, what if I went 1 right, 1 up, and 4 left? 1, 2, 3, 4. And I plotted the next point over here. Well, if you connect these 2 points, you would have gotten a negative slope. And you know that you are incorrect, because a negative slope and this slope here, the information given to us, doesn't match. So we know it's positive, so our initial point, right, was the point where that line crosses the y-axis. And our next point, one of our next points, to find one of the next point, we could have used this little trick here. Go up 1 and 4 to the right. I'm going to create one more point. I'm going to go down 1, right, instead of, so up and down. So if you go up and down, you always go 1, and then left and right, you always go 4. But in this case, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. And there's my next point. I'm going to create a line, and I'm going to connect those 2 dots, those 3 dots, and that's what it should look like. So make that a little bit bigger. And again, right, we have millions, and again, infinite number of points on this line, right? But I'm not going to use the points that I don't know the value of, right? Because we're limited by the graph that we're using. And on the graph that we're using, these points, I can actually find the exact value. So let me give you this point. This point here is -4, -2. This point here is 0 and 0. And this point here is 4 and 0. Let me create a table. So if I were to create a table, here's my x, right? Here's my function here, says take every number, right, every x value, the input, multiply by 1/4 and subtract 1, and then you should get your y. Well, let's see if this is true. Well, look at -4. So let's pretend I plug in -4. Well, -4 times 1/4. Well, 1/4 of -4 is -1. So I would get, let me actually write this down, -4, 1/4 times -4 minus 1. Put down your calculator. You should get negative 1, and then negative 1 minus negative 1 should be negative 2. Isn't that what we have here? So that says when I plug in negative 4, I get negative 2. Look, negative 4, negative 2. What if I plug in a 0? Well, I already know it's going to be 0, but let's prove it. So 1/4 of x, sorry, not 0, I wrote 0, 0, that's incorrect. There should have been 0, negative 1. So if I plug in 0, it would be 1/4 times 0 minus 1. 1/4 times 0 is 0, minus 1 is negative 1. Look, I got that. Let me plug in 4. Well, if my input is 4, well, 1/4 of x, of 4, sorry, minus 1. Well, 1/4 of 4 is 1, minus 1 is 0, look. So when I plug in a 4, I get a 0. So for every point on this line, I can use, they use this particular function. Every point in this line, when the input is 4, for example, your output is 0. When the input is negative 4, the output. So again, you could try get a new graph, extend the line, find new points, and you'll see that every single point on that line has this relation. Now, let's take a point over here. Well, if I take that point over here, let me pick an easier point. Let me pick this point right here, which is 2 and 3. It says here that when I plug in a 2, a 3 should come out. Well, because that point is not on the line, it's not going to work. So if I plug in a 2, I'm not change colors just so you know. So if I plug in a 2, it'd be 1/4 times 2 minus 1. 1/4 times 2, right? It's a half, and a half times 1, sorry, a half minus 1 is just negative a half. So when I plug in a 2, I should be getting negative a half. So notice that this point over here doesn't follow that relation. So obviously you can tell that this point is not on the line, right? Because it doesn't work. All right. So there. That's basically what we're doing. And what we're doing here is, using the information given to us by the equation and graphing its representation on the graph. Here, y equals, let me erase everything. So y equals negative x plus 2. So let me write, so there is a slope here, and I'm going to write negative 1, x plus 2. I'm going to put that 1 over there, and I'm going to put 1 here. So this is my y-intercept. This is my slope. And right next to that 1 and negative 1, let me put it over here. So the slope m is negative 1 over good. Put an arrow. So your movement up and down is going to be 1 up, 1, and left and right, you're just going to move 1 unit. Do we know the y-intercept? Yeah, so right here. So do we have a line whose slope is negative, so we know it's going to be coming down like this. And it's crossing the y-axis at positive 2. So to find our next points, well, it says up and down move 1, and then left and right go 1. So there. Up and down go 1, left and right go 1. And then if you decide to go on the other side, up and down, let's go down 1, there. And this one is nice because I can plot several points. So let me get a line, right? Oh, and I forgot on the other one I should have written y equals 1/4 x minus 1 because that line has a name. And this one, likewise, y equals negative x plus 2. And again, I'm going to, just for the first couple of problems, I'm going to create a table over here. So, and let's pick some points. Let's pick this point right here, 1, 1. Let's pick another point, this one, 2, 0. And I'm going to pick one more point, this one, 3 and negative 1. So it's saying, so points on this line are following this relation. So they're being multiplied by, well, they're negated and then added to, if you want to think about that. Let me put a 1 here. Make it a little prettier. So negative, so times negative 1 and then plus 2. So if you put a 1, it's saying, and we already know that the output y should be a 1 as well. So let's just confirm. So negative 1 Let's substitute the x with 1, right? Because remember, this is x times 1 plus 2. Negative 1 times 1 is negative 1, and negative 1 plus 2 is just 1. Look, it works. It says that when you plug in a 2, you should have a 0 coming out. Well, let's see if that's true. So negative 1 times x, which in this case is 2, and then add 2. Negative 1 times 2 is negative 2, plus 2 is 0. Look, it works. So again, let me pick another point on this line right here. 3, negative 1. So if I plug in at negative 3, a negative 1 should come out. Well, let's see if that's true. So first of all, we're going to take negative 1 and multiply by 3, then add 2. Negative 1 plus 3 is negative 3, plus 2, negative 1. Look. So again, take any point on this line, right? Any of these points on this line, and then see if they follow that relation. See if every input is being multiplied right here. Every input, every x value that you plug in is being multiplied by negative 1 and add 2, and you'll see that it does. And then pick a couple of points that are not on the line and see if they follow that input. So let's take a look at this one, 4 and 6. This point's 4 and 6. It's saying that when you plug in a 4, a 6 should come out. Well, let's see if that's true. So when I plug in a 4, here's my, and I'll put a 1, sorry. Here's my equation, which I get from here. It says when I plug in a 4, y should equal 6. So y equals negative 1 times 4 plus 2. Y equals negative 1 times 4 is negative 4 plus 2 is negative 2. When I plug in a 4, I should be getting a 6, but look what I get instead, a negative 2. So that point doesn't follow, doesn't have that relation between the x and the y values. Okay? Alright, so from now on we'll just draw, make life easier. Y equals x plus 1. My y-intercept is 1, so I know this line is crossing here. This other piece of information that I have, so let me write that. So every time you have just a variable, remember, you can write it like this, just to help you out. So up and down, we're going to go 1. Left and right, we're going to go 1. So it's a positive slope. So 1 up, 1 to the right, 1 up, 1 to the right, 1 up to the right. We have so many points on this one, right, and then we can draw the line. Oops, there we go. And we're going to give it a name, y equals x plus 1. This one, again, positive slope, and it crosses the y-intercept here. It crosses the y-axis right here. So we have a point. And to get to our next point, so we have one point, right, the y-intercept. And to get to our next point, we're going to use this information here, the slope, 4 over 3. Up and down is 4. You're going to count 4, and then left and right. So the change in x values is 4. The ratio, sorry, of the change in the x value, y values over the x values is 4 over 3. So let's use that information. Again, positive slope, so I know our line's going to look like that. So from this, the y-intercept, count 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 3 to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 3 to the right. I don't have enough more room on this particular graph, so there. Right, so y equals 4 over 3x minus 4. Very, very simple. 5. Let's clear this, clear objects. 5. The y-intercept is negative 3, so start with that right here. So we know there's a line that's going to cross the y-axis right here. So we have a point already. All we need is one more. We can create a line. And then the slope is, so the slope, let me write that, is negative 3, but I want to put it over 1, right? So remember, that tells you that the change in x, y value is going to be 3. So you go up and down when you count, you're going to count 3, and the change in x value is going to be 1. So let's do that. So let's go up, 1, 2, 3, and we're going to go left this time because it's a negative slope. So when I connect these two dots, the line has to be coming down. I'm going to do, actually, we can do more points. So from this point, let me get another point. 1, 2, 3 up, 1 to the right, 1, 2, 3 up, 1 to the right, and even here, 1, 2, 3 down, and then it's just going to be opposite, 1 to the right. Connect these spots. dots, I said. And there, we have a line. These are the points that I can determine the coordinates. The other ones I can't, right, because they're fractional. Right. So for this line, give it a name, 3x minus 3. This one's a little tricky. We're using, it says y equals 4. So notice that if the equation of the line looks like this, right? Notice that this one doesn't have something times x, but it only has the y-intercept. That's all it has. Let me write that down. That's all it has. It doesn't have this. It's missing that part. So if it's missing that part, it means that the only possible thing that it could be is that it's 0x. Right? Because 0 times x is just 0, and therefore we don't need to write it. So the only thing that's given to us is that the y-intercept is 4. So we have a line. Right, we're not going to write that. That doesn't have a slope. So I'll write it again. But I know the y-intercept is 4. So there's a line that crosses the y-axis at 4, but its slope is 0. So go through your notebooks, and what do we say? When the slope is 0, what kind of line is that? When the slope is 0, the line is a horizontal line. And then when you graph that, so if it's a horizontal line, that's even easier. Oops. Right there. And here's what I'm going to do in this horizontal line. I'll pick all these values. I mean, all these points I can know the location of, right? And I'm going to prove it to you. So if you take all these points, and let me take every single point, not every single point. Let's take that point right here. That is 6 to the right, 4 up. Let's take that point, 5 to the right, 4 up. This one, 4 to the right, 4 up. Notice something? 3 to the right, 4 up. Let me take some negatives. 6 to the right, 4 up. This one, negative 5 to the right and 4 up. Notice that every single point on this line, if you do x and y, 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 what is your y value? All of these, the y value is 4. 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4. Right? And isn't that what the original equation said? Hey, where's the line? Give me a line where the y, where all the y's are 4. That's what that's saying. Well, let me do the slope. Let's pick two values here. Let's pick this guy, 3 and 4. Let's pick the next one, 5 and 4. And then let's do try to find the slope. Well, x1, y1, x2, y2. So it's y2 minus y1, which is 4 minus 4. Over x2, which is 5, minus 3, which is 2. So I get 0 over 2. What's 0 over 2? The same thing as 0. Pick another point. Let's pick this point right here, 6, 4. And let's pick this point right here, negative 5 and 4. Right? Remember. And then let's do again, let's find the slope again. This is x1, y1, this is x2, y2. Doesn't matter who you pick as your x and y's. y2, 4. y1 is so 4 minus 4. And at the bottom, negative 5 over minus 6. I get 0 over negative 11. Isn't that the same thing as 0? So no matter which 2 points you pick on the line, you're going to get that the slope, m, is always going to be 0. This one, slope is positive, it's 3, so m equals 3 over 5. Let me do my arrows. Left and right, count 5, up and down, count 3. So the change in y values is 3, and the change in x values is 5. Okay, the ratio. So, and then the y-intercept is negative 1, so I know there's a line that's going to cross the y-axis over here. I have my first point. It's going to look like this because it's positive. So let's just figure out a couple more points. So up and down we count 3. 1, 2, 3. Left and right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There. Let's see if we can find one more point. Yeah. 1, 2, 3 down, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There. More than enough to create a line. Let me just move this. There we go. Give the graph a name. Y equals 3/5 x minus 1. X equals 5. So this is like the other one. So this is kind of weird. Like the other one, we were looking for all the previous one where y was 4. Every single x value is 5. So think about this. Y equals mx plus b. So let's try to find a line where every x value equals 5. Well, here's my x-axis, and this is 5. So let's take a look at that point here. That point is 5, 0. X and y. What's my x value? 5. Can you find another point where the x value is 5? Well, right above it. 5 and 1. The x is 5 and the y is 1. Give me another point where the x is also 5. Well, right here. What point is that? 5 and -2. Look, x, y, and 5x is also 5. So by now you notice a pattern. This value, this coordinate point will also have a x coordinate of 5, 5, and 5. So in this one, where is it? Where's my line? The line is a vertical line. Remember, the slope is undefined, right? The slope is undefined in this one. And I'll talk to you more about why the slope is undefined. But for every single point on this line, no matter what point you pick, every x value equals 5. And that's that. Nine, it's the same thing as 2 questions or 3 questions ago. Look for 9, right? So this one, clear background. Hopefully, where's y equals 3? Y equals 3 right here. Or in this case, you have to recognize that, again, there is no slope. Y equals mx plus b, right? Where this was your slope, so this is written like this. So that means that there is no slope. All right, no slope here. Or the slope is 0. Sorry. Sorry, I take that back. Not that there is no slope. The slope is 0, right? Because it's 0x, right? So when it's written in this form, not x but y, it tells you that the slope is 0. And the only representation when the slope is 0 is a horizontal line. And I'm going to pick a few points. So y equals 3. So notice again, I'm going to go through that process. I'll pick some points over here, and I'll write it for you. So let's start with this one. That's 4 and 3. The next one to the left is 2 and 3. Next one is 0 and 3. Next one it's -2 and 3. And one more, -4 and 3. Notice that every single y value over here is 3. So in this case, y equals 3 is represented by this line right here. It has 0 slope. 3x minus 2. Clear background. Clear background. Okay, clear. No, clear objects. Okay. So my slope is 3 over 1. Okay. My y-intercept is -2. So let's start with that. -2 is right here. So if I have a line right? It has a positive slope, so it means it goes like this, and it crosses the y-axis and negative. So I already have 1 point. Let me put this like this. Let me put this like this. So going up, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1 to the right, 1, 2, 3, 1 to the right. If you go down, it's 1, 2, 3, and 1 to the left. More than enough points. Let's connect the dots. And we get y equals 3x minus 2. Right? Positive slope. A change in, oh, you know what I'm going to do here is show you a little bit more. Let me take this point, let me take this point, let me take this point, let me take this. So, a change in y value. So look at these 2 points. Let me get rid of this guy over here. Think about these 2 points right here. Make them red. Right? So if you look at this distance right here, that's 1. And if you look at this distance right here, right, the height, the rise, is 3. Look at the next 2 points. Look at these 2 points. From that point, from this point, let me change it to green. From this point to this point, if you measure the height, the change in y values is 3, and if you measure the horizontal distance, it's 1. Right? So the ratio of any point, any 2 points on the line, right, is going to be 3 over 1. Okay? All right. Click objects. 2 more. Again, positive slope. Slope is 4. Put it over 1. So again, up and down, you're going to go 4. Left and right, you're going to go once. And the y-intercept is 3, so right here. And your graph should look like a line going up. All right, so let's do that. Let's go down because up I don't have any room. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1 to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 to the left. Why to the left? Because when I connect these points, my graph should be pointing up from left to right, right? So again, let me get these. Look, this point right here, this point right here, and this point right here. And again, if you count this, the height here, right, it would be 4 units, and if you measure the horizontal distance, it'd be 1. And then again from this point, same thing, 4 and 1. Okay, always with any 2 points, even the ones we can, even this point and this point. Right, if you knew the exact coordinate, and you did y2 minus y1, x2 over x1, you would get 4 over 1. Last one. Again, it's positive slope, so my m6 over 5, that's my slope. 6 over 5, up and down, left and right. And this crosses the y-axis at positive 5. It crosses right here. So we know it goes up. Well, I don't have room upstairs, so I'm going to go down. So let me count 6 down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then I'm going to go left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I only have room for 2 points. So, again, if you count the rise here, look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's my height. And then if you count the horizontal distance, look, you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There. That's what this is. All right. Yeah, that's it.